know.
Hello and welcome to this week's Lunch and Learn live with Lynn. And no, I don't have two heads. Well, I kind of have two heads.
Yeah, kind of.
This other person joining me on my live this week is my BFF, Christine Decato.
Yay.
Yay. She came to visit and I was like, well, anyone that comes to visit me on Thursday mornings is going to end up on my YouTube Lunch and Learn live. So
Podcast.
Yeah. This will be on the podcast. This is on the YouTube channel. So welcome everyone. And you know what? We're not just going to be two BFFs talking about, I don't know,
stuff.
Yeah, husbands,
Yeah.
kids,
Boring.
work, life. We're going to talk about retirement because this lady right here, kind of a blessing and a curse, was, early retirement.
Yeah.
Well, early for some people, right? How old are
Early,
you?
yeah, 60.
60. So retiring at 60, if you're like 25, you're like, oh God,
It's so far away.
That seems old to be retiring. So for some people, maybe 60 is old to be retiring. For other people, it's in a sweet spot. And for other people, it's, I'm never going to retire. There's a big spectrum of people, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep. And her husband retired like what, 6 months ago?
Yeah.
So yeah, he's a little bit older, and he decided to take advantage of time.
Right. Take advantage of the time rather than spend another year or two in the workforce for, it would have amounted to, I think, $50 or $60 a month.
Yeah.
So
not
much.
Yeah. I did a TikTok video yesterday about kind of the time value of money. And what are you willing to exchange your life for? So it's all about prioritizing. And I think when people get to our age, they really start thinking about, well, how much time do I want to sit here working versus traveling across the country, visiting with grandkids. So Christine, tell us a little bit about what you've been doing since you retired. Like, what's the plus side?
The plus side is sleeping in, not waking up to a 4 a.m. alarm every day, which I did for many years as a ACU and post anesthesia care nurse. Was up very early every morning, so that's a plus. And the other plus is to have time to do the things, like hobbies, art. I'm now into glass. I've always loved glass and just started learning about how to do stained glass and mosaics, and so that's a plus. And the other plus really is that I have a daughter and twin grandsons. My daughter is due for her third son in October, and I can go back and forth to Alaska now and, be the GG and offer some help in travel. And my husband and I did a 6-week road trip, car camping. Which was mostly staying at campgrounds in the camping cabin, so no bathroom or anything in the cabin or hotel rooms, and it depended largely on the weather.
So in the cabin, that wouldn't work for me since I pee about 6 times a night.
But anybody who is interested in car camping or doing a road trip and, you don't know what you need, there's so much stuff online. And there's also a book that I got, Car Camping for Idiots, basically, that tells you all the stuff that you need to know. But there is a portable potty, and it's like those cubes, those collapsible cubes that go into shelves.
Oh yeah.
Except it's shaped a little differently, but it has an actual like potty seat that goes on the top, special bags that are biodegradable. So you can just throw it in the regular trash. And there's poo gel that you put in the bag, and it's deodorizing and it turns liquid into solid. So, and you can put it anywhere. I ordered one and I had it in my dry cabin in Alaska when I went to visit Brittany.
That's super,
very cool.
Super poo. Yeah. So is there a weight limit? Because you're tiny. So
I am,
but so you wouldn't fall in your poo.
And I'm sure there is a weight limit. And my husband is on the heavier side. He's down to 362, which is still heavy, but he used it. So it does work for it's pretty sturdy. It doesn't really look it, but it is. So
Wow. I love
yeah,
that.
yeah,
That's cool. So if
yeah.
nothing else today,
Mm,
you're finding out about this traveling
yeah,
poop box.
yeah. It's actually it worked really well. They have urinals also that are
Oh,
collapsible,
yep.
but they're shaped for both men and women to use in case you're stuck in traffic for 6 hours at an accident
Instead of
and
like
you're in
a
a
bottle.
car. Right.
Instead of a bottle.
Exactly.
Wow, that sounds very cool.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Who knew?
That saved Ken a couple of times.
Wow.
Out in the middle of nowhere, Arizona.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, where there's no tree that you can pee behind.
No, there isn't,
Yeah.
and the services are 200 miles apart
Yeah.
sometimes. So yeah.
So those are some of the upsides. I know you've done some home improvement things to your
Yeah.
beautiful home in Vermont with that lovely view. And it's just gorgeous. If you haven't been to Vermont, you have to go.
Yeah.
Beautiful state.
Hmm.
What would you say are some of the downsides? I know it wasn't necessarily your choice to retire when you did. And,
No.
many women and men are forced out of their careers sometimes unexpectedly. And that's why I said
Mhm.
it's so important to plan in case you are. What is your plan if your career gets cut short unexpectedly? So,
And I didn't have one.
yeah.
But it was a back injury, that ultimately ended my nursing career. Um, some downsides to retirement. What was the most difficult for me was missing out on the camaraderie of my team,
Hmm.
that I got to work with every day. And I miss being able to use my education and the skills. I was great at starting IVs, and I think I was a good nurse. And so I miss that interaction with people, being able to make an immediate difference in people's lives every day. I don't have that anymore.
Hmm. You
Um,
mean me and my children don't keep you busy enough as a nurse? IV bags to the rescue.
yeah, well, I do house calls still in a pinch. Yeah. But yeah, I do miss that. That's a
Mhm. You hear
downside.
that a lot from people that leave
Yeah.
their career, their friendship network, the social
Hmm.
aspect is so important. Actually, that lack of social interaction is what a lot of retirees suffer with depression from,
Yeah.
because then they become isolated.
Hmm.
You don't know how to make friends like you did when you were in second grade.
No. And, I love being in the rural, you know, place. I love being out in the country and it's quiet and you can hear birds and, wildlife and the peepers at night and all of that in Vermont. But the downside of that is I'm not living in a retirement community with, a million things to do, playing pickleball and going
Mm.
riding around in my golf cart.
Yeah, it's like a big
you
college
know
campus. Some of
right,
those places,
right. And
different
we've
lifestyle.
we've talked about that, but the weather, I'm a New England girl, so I would like to be a snowbirder, but that's difficult to do on a fixed income. And that's the other drawback, I feel like, is you're all of a sudden, you have the option to do overtime shifts or pick up a weekend on call or whatever, to say, well, I'm going to do this and pick up these shifts and I'm going to put it in this account and go on a vacation. I
Mm.
don't have that option anymore to do that. Where, we get what we get on the third, Wednesday or Thursday of every month, and that's it.
Yep.
Um, so
Yeah.
that's a downside.
I think that's why there's a lot of people retire, and we talked about this before we went live. People retire and they might miss that little. My mother used to call it pin money.
Yeah.
Um,
Beer money.
yeah, beer money. They miss having that, extra
Hmm.
or even a source of income, because you go from saver, earning income from working to living off of whatever you have. And a lot of people will go find, a part-time
Yeah.
gig,
Hmm.
like I'm trying to convince her to open an Etsy store with all her amazing art. But
Stained glass. Got a little, got to get a little better at that and build up my,
confidence.
no, my
Oh, yeah, your
stuff to
confidence.
sell.
Oh, your
I'm pretty
inventory.
my inventory.
Inventory,
I'm
yeah.
pretty confident in my ability, what I can do. I mean, it's really not that difficult.
Yeah.
You can watch YouTube videos and
Yeah. I mean, part of it is,
experiment.
yeah, you need a little creativity because,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
my,
that's the upside of having more time,
hmm,
is that things or ideas that you have, um, to do often when you're working full time, you just don't have time to put any of those ideas into
No.
motion because you either don't have the time or the energy or either. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I
Who knows?
did a TikTok video about exercise because I like to exercise every day. So I did a video and I try to, encourage people to put that into their regular routine.
Mm,
And a woman commented and said, I wish I had time to exercise,
mm.
but I lift 40-pound ammunition boxes all day at work. So I'm like,
Well,
well,
that's
there you
exercise.
go. That's a great,
Yeah.
After lifting 40-pound ammunition boxes that I'm
Mhm.
assuming she was around our age, I would,
Yeah.
go home and lift some more weights.
My
So
back hurts just thinking about that.
yeah, I was thinking like, gosh, if you dropped them, what would happen? But anyway,
Mm,
but I think I agree that especially when you're younger and you have kids and you're working full time and you don't
mhm,
have time for these pursuits. So that's one
mhm.
of the cool things about retirement is
Yeah.
you have time, right?
Yeah.
2,000 hours that you spent, working, you
Mhm.
now have at your disposal. So there's the pros and the cons. So I want to talk real quick about your husband. It sounds like you've filled your calendar. You're not,
Mhm.
some people are bored or depressed or,
Yeah, not me.
you know, uh, I find there's exceptions to every rule, but I've read and I've talked to people where men sometimes have a harder time than women. Women kind of have this list. We multitask. We've had all
Mhm.
these ideas
Yeah.
that have just kind of been pushed aside because we've been primary caregivers and, trying to balance everything. And we have this like pent up list, whereas I don't think oftentimes men do. I do have we have some clients that are definitely, they're like, I was just talking to one a few weeks ago. We went to visit and he took up wood burning
Oh yeah.
and he was a dentist. So it's a
Oh,
natural
oh yeah,
transition.
with the tool, the
Yeah.
precision. Yeah.
Now, he
Mhm.
also happens to be a pretty good artist. So that helps
That's
because,
cool. Yeah.
if he was just kind of doing
Right.
abstract stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, I was like, hey, it doesn't seem like you're bored. And he's like, no. But again, they have a second house on a lake with a boat and hiking. And so
Oh,
they have,
yes, they plenty to do.
they recreate a
Mhm.
lot, but he's picked up a hobby. So your husband, how has he adjusted to retirement? Has he had those similar feelings of camaraderie, or did he not like the people he worked with?
He did like the majority of the people that he worked with, and I just want to clarify. I think I said he was 362 for the porta potty. He's actually 262.
Oh yeah, you're 100 pounds off.
He'll kill me for adding that 100
No,
pounds.
no.
He is having some health issues regarding his AFib and heart right now that runs in his family, but he has had a hobby since we started watching a show out of Europe called, can't remember now, it's antique place. It's like Sturbridge Village, but over in
Oh,
Europe.
cool.
And he's always been interested in clocks. So he has started doing that. And he's had um, great success in building clocks for us at home. Um, Antique clocks, working on antiques is his specialty. Um, and uh, and he's got just one client right now that keeps him busier than a one-armed paper hanger.
Wow, that's
And
awesome. I have
yeah,
one of the clocks, by
mm,
the way.
mm-hmm,
It's
yeah,
amazing. The clock
yeah,
he made for me, actually,
mm,
on the pendulum, he put some of my mom's ashes because she always wanted to be in motion,
mm.
even in death. So he put some of her ashes in a tiny little hourglass and somehow he attached it to the pendulum of the
Yeah, it's
clock.
cool.
And so my mom all day long goes tick tock, tick tock. It's
And
amazing.
she would love that, I think.
She
So
would love
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Can I give a shameless plug to
of
his?
course.
Okay, so if you're looking for somebody for advice on a clock, or I'm sure he would take a clock if you were to mail it in, send it in, and ship it back. But it's Clockworks is the name of his webpage on Facebook. You can find him on Facebook, Clockworks.
And it's CLOCK.
Yep,
The,
WORKS, I think altogether.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, I thought there was an X, but it's Clockworks.
I think it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll double check on that, but yeah.
Yeah. I can put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
So we'll
And
definitely put a
his
link in
name
there.
is Ken, so you can always find him on Facebook under his regular name and just ask about the Clockworks also.
Ken Decato.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go
Yeah.
check it out and get one of these amazing timepieces.
Mm.
Because if you have a loved one, it's a great way to put their ashes and have them present in your life every single day. In fact,
Mm,
sometimes I don't think, because it's a noise that I didn't have before.
right.
TikTok. And, our neighbors have commented on it when they're over, friends.
Oh,
And once in a while, I'll forget to wind it and I'll say,
oh, you notice the
Mom stopped running. I have to
yeah.
go get Mom started again. So it's neat.
One thing too, I never thought about it before he started doing repairs and stuff for other people, is that it takes some time and you get really used to and almost attached to the clock that he's working on, and then you have to say goodbye to it and it's gone.
Part with it.
Yeah, so and that's why we have so many clocks in our houses, because it's easy to work on them, and he builds them, but then you get attached and
Yeah.
it ends up on a wall and
No excuse
not
for you guys
sold.
to be late.
No, that's true.
And and I thought in retirement you're supposed to lose track of time.
Yeah,
and
not us.
Here
You can't lose track of time in my house.
Oh my goodness. So crazy. So I think, we talked a little bit about retirement, and sometimes, you don't retire when you planned. So due to your injury, you were kind of like, okay, my career is over.
Mm-hmm.
And you went on SSDI.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Social Security
Yep.
Disability. I get asked questions about that. Like, one of the top questions I get asked about SSDI is, how much can I earn outside of SSDI? And I'm not sure if that's, Social Security is a federal benefit. So I think the amount you can earn is a federal limit.
Yeah, it
and
is.
not state by state.
It used to be 1,150, and now it's 1,350 a month, which is not a lot of money. That's like 2 shifts for me as
a nurse
RN, which I'm sure I could find some sort of telehealth position or something like that. But I'd have to really watch how much
you earn.
I write. So
So if you go over the limit, your SSDI is reduced.
Correct.
Like
you go over the
$1 for
limit.
every $2 you earn.
I don't know exactly, but
okay.
yeah. And it works out to $1,350 a month. I think Ken told me his is like 22,000 a year. He can't earn any more than that, and he is still per diem. He is a CAT scan radiology technologist.
Yeah. It's about it's 22,320. Is the max
there
that you
go.
can earn on Social Security until you full retirement age.
Right.
And then after full retirement age, you can earn as much as you want.
Right.
So if you have Social Security questions, definitely reach out to me at Her Retirement, Lynn at herretirement.com.
Yep.
And we've got a few more minutes to chat here. Probably go about 20 minutes. One of the things I want to talk about is Health, Your Nurse. And so one of the things that we had the honor of doing together, because I was lucky enough that Christine was retired, is my mom needed hospice last year due to ovarian cancer. So Christy was, I call you Christy. That's my nickname. Nobody else can call her that. It's how long have we been friends? Since high school.
9th grade.
She taught me some really, really interesting things because I'm younger than her. So she was like my big sister, but we won't talk about those things. You'll have to read it in my
That's
memoir.
Right. And yes. But that's a podcast for a whole nother day.
That's a podcast. Yeah, and that will be invite only
to
the cool ladies. We could have some good fun talking about that stuff.
Oh my gosh, yes.
But anyway, she was kind of like a second. I'm an only girl for my mom, so Christine was a second daughter to my mom. We won't talk about that beginning either. More important is the end. So I think my mom would share in that you have this beginning and then you have this end, and a whole bunch of good stuff happens in the middle, and then at the end, you would like it to be as I don't even want to say wonderful. What would be the good word for it? Peaceful, and have your family all around you. And, rather than have someone suddenly pass away, which happens all the time, and you don't get a chance to say goodbye.
Right.
We, Christine and myself and my children and my family, my brothers.
Extended family.
Yeah, we had a big party for a couple of weeks at my mom's assisted living facility. And it was probably like my mom would be like, this would be a good Lifetime movie. It was like,
it was nice.
Yeah, it was a Lifetime movie. Like, you couldn't have staged it any better, probably.
No.
Yeah.
She was a very beloved woman, and surrounded by love for days and days and overnights and singing songs and eating good food and telling stories. And
Yeah.
it was great.
It took planning. So one of the things, I mean, you can't obviously plan your end of life, but if you have a parent, a sibling, a friend who, has this ending, you know, approaching, and you
Mm.
have time to plan, take that time to plan, because I don't have any regrets about it. I just went into full, like, set everything up for mom mode. I'm a party planner.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an event planner from way back, and so I just went into full, like, okay, I got to get my mom into this assisted living. I need to get her into
Yeah.
a room, an apartment that has an extra space for all the family. Then I started calling all the people to come visit her, and you know, called in
Yeah.
people, to friends, to bring food,
Mm-hmm.
and we just supported my mom, and we had this end of
And
life
each other.
party, and each other,
Yeah.
just nodding her head at the end. So it was like, it was the plan that kind of went off without a hitch. And my mom kind of had the last laugh, because her favorite day of the year was April Fool's Day, next to Christmas and April Fool's Day, because she liked to try to fool everybody with some
Mm-hmm.
silly joke. And she passed away on April Fool's Day. And when she came out and told me that she had passed, I'm like, this has to be a joke. This has to be mom.
Mm-hmm.
And she's gonna, like, at 12:01 go, just kidding.
Oh, you're right. Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
she didn't, and it was just so ironic. But I think having the and I had thought about it for a few years, because she was sick with ovarian cancer, but I didn't have the full plan in my mind. I didn't even know where to take her after rehab, where she should go, to my home, her home with full-time nurse, to an assisted living. So there's a whole bunch of decisions and conversations I wish I had had previous, but it all happened really quick. It was like slow. For 3 years she was great, and then it went very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I had to move very quickly. I stopped everything I was doing. And this is actually one of the points that I talk to women about is, I have three older brothers. As much as I wanted to be in control and do it for my mother, we always did that for each other. It does often fall on the woman, and that's why,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I took a tremendous time out of work,
Mm-hmm.
not earning potentially the money that I could have been earning, contributing to my retirement savings. And that's why,
Mm.
I don't know, I think women take an average of 11 years out of their career for
Child
caregiving.
and caregiving of parents. Yeah.
Yeah, and men take like a year and a half.
Mm.
So we already have, like, this catch up game that we need to play,
Mm-hmm.
women versus men. So that's why I say, ladies, yes, maybe we have to work longer, we have to work harder
Yeah.
to cover that gap. Forget
Mm-hmm.
about the wage gap and
Right.
other gaps that we have. But
Mm-hmm.
any advice you would give someone, from going through that? I know you're not a hospice nurse, but
No.
any advice you would have for anyone that, they lose their husband. Average age of widowhood is 59, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Lose a parent, child. What advice would you have?
If you do have a healthcare professional in the family that knows sort of the inner workings of how things work, I was a home health nurse for quite some time, not specifically in hospice, but I had hospice. I helped to move some of my patients at the time into hospice. Um, they can really help guide you and help you not to feel so overwhelmed because it's already a stressful time. And I think people that are in that situation, in the middle of it, just it's natural to feel overwhelmed and not know what should be done or needs to be done or who to talk to or what questions to ask. So reaching out to somebody in the family or a close family friend that has some medical knowledge, I think would be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And, try to think about if you have the time to plan like you did in this case, even though it was kind of crunch time, try to ahead of things, ask some questions, to your elderly parents or brothers, sisters, spouse even, what would you like?
Mm-hmm.
Because then
Yeah.
it's a no-brainer. You don't have to stress about these decisions.
Yeah.
Everybody should have, a healthcare proxy, They should have, their wishes on paper so
Mm-hmm.
that everybody knows what they want done in
Yep.
the event of an emergency.
End of life. Yeah.
Yes, end of life,
Yeah.
scenario, because it takes so much stress off the family.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
remember my mom, kind of in the middle of Christine, helping her to giving her meds or whatever. She's like, "Where's my DNR? Where's my DNR?"
Yeah.
And, she had some experiences with her siblings and she just knew what she wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So we said, "It's okay, Mom. It's on the refrigerator. Everybody's aware of it." And,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put in a plug for her emergency personal info and emergency planner. It's at heremergencyplanner.com. I actually created it last summer while I was grieving my mother. I said, I just started writing and I started creating this emergency planner / binder, as I call it. It's 130 pages and it has all of your personal, financial, medical, end of life wishes in it.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a little ominous when you look at it. You download the PDF and you can fill it in. You can print it, put it in a binder, save it, tell your lawyer where it is, keep it with your lawyer, keep it with the kid, spouse, whatever.
Yeah.
But it outlines everything because I had a 1-page sheet of paper from my mom with her list. And so I don't know, she was able to condense 130 pages down to one. So maybe she was onto something that I wasn't. But I still had to go. I had to go hunting for information. She had a file cabinet, so she was super organized. But this takes it to another level. And I say it allows you to keep calm and carry on, or allows your loved ones to keep calm and carry on. Should you become incapacitated and when you pass away.
Mm-hmm.
And especially with spouses, I talk to so many women and they like, oh, I don't know what my husband wants. We don't talk about it. Or my parents, I've had some conversations with my dad.
Not an easy subject to bring up. It's not anything that anybody really wants to think about. Not you, not your parents, not your spouse.
Yeah.
But having the difficult conversations, even if you just get a brief sort of consensus as to what they want or what they, would like at that time, it's better than having nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's a lot easier to have the conversation with the person while they're here rather than just wing it when, something happens. So,
yeah. So have a date night with your spouse. I mean, I have a significant other, and I did after my mom passed away and we were at the cemetery. My brothers and I kind of looked at each other because my mom had a plot with her parents. And I looked at my siblings and I'm like, well, where are you guys going to be buried? And they're like, I don't know, where are you going to be buried?
Yeah.
And so we went into a little office there and talked to the guy and said, well, you guys can buy another plot as siblings. And, we need to follow up on that, with them because I don't really know. But I asked my significant other, he's Jewish. And I said, Brian, where do you want to be buried? And he's like,
oh, yeah.
I don't know, but he has 3 boys. So I don't want to be in a situation where, we have great relationship now, but if you're remarried or have a partner and you have wishes, but nobody knows what they are. And I have 3 kids, my kids might want something different from what he wants for me.
Right.
So rather than, have everyone guessing and power struggle and whatever, I actually met a woman at the post office a long time ago. Hadn't seen her in a long time. And, she had a package and, I was like, I had my little mail and I was like, how are you doing, Sharon? Blah, blah, blah. Good. And I'm like, oh, what do you're returning something from Amazon? She's like, no, actually, I'm returning my father's ashes to my stepmother in Florida.
Oh, wow.
Actually, my mom was in the car at the time and I went outside and I'm like, Mom, I am never going to mail you to Florida in a box via United States Post Office.
Yeah.
But the family was fighting over the damn ashes.
Oh, wow.
The stepmother had gotten some kind of thing legally that the daughter had to send the ashes back. And I was like,
wow.
Whoa, that's so crazy. So it can eliminate so much to make sure that, you have this. And then, of course, part of your estate plan is a trust, a will, healthcare proxy, beneficiaries. If nothing else, you have to have beneficiaries. Advanced directives.
Yep. Ask your primary care doctor. They all have the paperwork.
Yep. So super, super important. So, wow, we covered a lot of ground.
As usual, we don't have a lack of the gift of gab.
No, we could pretty much gab all day.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
We could.
Well, that's why I have 124 episodes of my podcast.
Yeah, there you go.
I go live every week because I just like to
Good
talk to
job.
myself. No,
It's great information, ladies.
Yeah, it is.
She's the best.
Yeah, so are you.
We love each other.
Number one fan.
Yeah, number one fan of each other. Everybody needs at least one.
Yeah, because my
Yep.
mom was one of my number one fans, and now she's not here.
Big
So
cheerleader. So yeah,
yeah.
Big shoes to fill there.
Yeah,
I try.
absolutely. Well, this has been awesome.
Yeah, we'll have to do it again.
You did a great job. Just like right off the cuff, she's got a new career, I think.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. What could we call it? Lynn and Christy Talk Poop podcast.
Oh, yeah, there's a name. I don't know if that's the right name, but it's a name.
It's off the cuff.
Off the cuff.
Anyway, thank you so much for watching this week's episode of.
Thanks for having me.
Wow, it was awesome. Now we're gonna go do something fun. I'm gonna drag her up a mountain, or I don't know what I'll do, but we're gonna
go to lunch.
Oh,
go to an Nancy
shopping.
Shop.
We're gonna go shopping.
Yeah,
I haven't gone shopping in so long. All right, woo, lunch and shopping.
Okay.
Sneak in a hike.
All right.
So thank you for watching this week's Lunch and Learn live with Lynn and
Christine.
Yeah, and don't forget, go check out Ken Decato Clockworks, and I'll put the link to his timepieces
on Facebook.
down below. And thanks for watching.
Excellent.
Bye.
Bye all.